Hey everyone, welcome to Area 616. Today I wanted to explain the history of magic in America, so that going into Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, you're caught up. First thing to know, wizards knew about America long before muggles or no-mages did. Due to brooms, apparition, and all that other stuff, wizard communities were in touch with each other from the Middle Ages on. Like in Europe, wizards were born throughout the Native American community. And while some were accepted into the tribes, gaining reputations for being skilled with healing and hunting, some were condemned based on the belief that they were possessed by evil spirits. Native American wizards were particularly skilled in the area of animal and plant magic, with many potions that were far beyond those of Europe's in sophistication. One large difference between European wizards and Native American ones was that the latter did not use wands. Wands came from Europe, and were used to make the spells more precise and powerful. However, Native Americans mastered using magic without wands. There is the legend of the Native American skinwalkers, evil witches and wizards who could transform into animals at will. This was, of course, Native American animagi. Tales originated from nomad medicine men that said the ones who could do this had sacrificed close family members in order to gain this power, which was not true. But now as we head into the 17th century, as European nomads and wizards alike begin settling into America. Like the nomads, wizards would come for various reasons, whether it be to escape persecution or just for adventure. However, they ran into many difficulties. European wizards running from persecution by the magical government sought to hide among the nomads coming to America, and the Native American tribes there, as Native American wizards were welcoming to European wizards like them. However, European wizards coming to America no longer had local apothecaries to get ingredients for potions from. Now they had to use strange and unfamiliar plants. Similarly, there were no wand makers, and as far as schools go, all they had was a small shack with 2 teachers and 2 students called Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, though that school would later go on to become one of the greatest in the world. However, conflict between the European immigrants and the Native American tribes had developed, which damaged the unity of the wizards there. And additionally, because of the European nomads' strict religious beliefs, they were very intolerant of magic. Puritans often accused each other of these things on the slightest bit of evidence, so New World witches and wizards grew very wary of them. Another problem that arose were scourers. As there was no magical law enforcement at the time among the scattered and secretive wizarding communities, a group of wizard mercenaries arose, not only hunting down criminals but anyone who was worth some gold to them. As time passed, they became increasingly cruel and corrupt. Then came the infamous Salem witch trials of 1692 to 1693. Among the so-called Puritan judges were scourers, who were paying off feuds that had developed in America. The trials were an immense tragedy in America's wizarding history, and while some of them were indeed witches who were completely innocent, others were just no-mages who were unfortunately caught up in the hysteria. Because of this, many of the wizards in America fled, and news of this kept European wizards from entering the country, leading to America having a significantly lower number of wizards in its population up until the 20th century. Most of the witches and wizards in North America were born out of nomads, rather than pure-blood wizarding families like in Europe. Another thing the Salem witch trials started was the founding of the Magical Congress of the United States of America in 1623, which was started nearly a century before the nomad version. Known by the abbreviation MACUSA, the North American wizarding community came together and created laws, making a secret wizarding world outside of the nomads like in Europe and other places. The first thing MACUSA did was put the scourers who had betrayed their own kind on trial. Those who were convicted of murder, wizard trafficking, torture, and many other crimes were executed. With international warrants for their arrest out, many scourers permanently integrated into nomad society, escaping justice. Having been cast out from their people, they passed on to their descendants that magic was real, and that any witch and wizard they should come across should be killed. Because of this, North American no-mags are much harder to fool in the existence of magic than other populations, due to the anti-magic beliefs and activities of the Scourer's descendants. This has had many repercussions on the way the American wizarding community is governed. In 1790, the 15th president of MACUSA, Emily Rappaport, instituted a law designed to create the total separation of wizarding and no-mag communities, forbidding that wizards befriend or marry any no-mags. This was due to a mistake made by a witch named Dorcas Twelvetrees, the daughter of the keeper of the treasure and dragons, dragons being American wizarding currency. Aristotle Twelvetrees was his name. To put it simply, Dorcas was never the brightest bulb on the tree and ended up falling in love with a no-mag named Bartholomew, and despite the dangers, telling him all about the American wizarding world. I get more into detail about this in a recent video linked at the end of this one, but basically Bartholomew used this knowledge to cause a large amount of damage to the American wizarding community's relations with no-mag. They were starting to become increasingly regarded as the enemy, and this drove the wizarding community deeper underground, limiting interactions with no-mags to only what was absolutely necessary for day-to-day interactions. Moving into the 1920s, wizards in America were involved in the Great War from 1912 to 1918, but their victories were not decisive, but presented a lot of additional loss of life, and in defeating magical enemies. Despite this, nothing changed with the Rappaport's law, and the American wizarding community had become used to living in secrecy. Being a Dorcas became slang for an idiot, and MACUSA continued to impose severe penalties on those who defied the international statute of secrecy. MACUSA was also much less tolerant of magical creatures and phenomena than Europe was, as they might expose their existence. MACUSA relocated its headquarters 5 times, its 5th coming after what was called the Great Sasquatch Rebellion of 1892, when they relocated from Washington to New York, where they remained throughout the 1920s. The president of MACUSA throughout the decade was Madame Serafina Picquery, a famously gifted witch from Savannah. She's in the movie, by the way. Ilvermorny had flourished greatly over the last 2 centuries and had gained a reputation as one of the greatest magical education centers in the world. The houses include the Horned Serpent, said to favor scholars, the Wampus, which favors warriors, the Thunderbird, which favors adventurers, and the Pukwudgie, which favors healers. The history of Ilvermorny is unfortunately far too vast and complicated to fit into this video as well, so I've included a link to Pottermore's article on it in the description, though I don't believe Ilvermorny will be playing much of a role in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. But back to it, wizards in America had started using wands, of course, but unlike Europe, where Ollivanders is considered unbeatable, America had 4 great wand makers: Jacoba Wolf, Johannes Jonker, Thiago Quintana, and Violetta Beauvais. All of them had different means and materials to making their wands that I don't have time to get into here. But it is worth noting that Violetta's wands were considered to gravitate towards dark magic, though it was commonly used by many American wizarding heroes in the 1920s, and was President Picquery's herself's choice of wand. Legislation at the end of the 19th century required wizards in America to carry a wand permit to keep tabs on all magical activity and identify perpetrators by their wands. Lastly, in the 1920s, alcohol was banned among no-mag communities, but not with wizards. Many critics of this said that it made wizards more conspicuous, but President Picquery refused these. But I think that's pretty much all of the major stuff you need to know going into Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I hope this helped you understand America's wizarding government a bit more. I, of course, got all of this from Pottermore, which is an awesome website if you want to learn more about Harry Potter's world. But with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.